Hey athletes, welcome back to another episode of SW Elite. We are super excited to have you joining us, whether that's on Spotify or YouTube. And this week we're going to jump into the first episode of the Build series, which is building awareness. So, as we are building awareness, we are going to show where we can help you become elite on and off the court. And we gotta deepen our basketball IQ and unlock the mindset that builds great players and great people. That's you. And so this week, like we said, we're going to build awareness and focus on awareness. And that is the ability to see the game before it unfolds, to understand what your role is, and to act with intent in every moment. Whether you're playing junior jazz, or rec, or high school, or college, or whatever it is, we want to help you improve your perception, improve your decision making, and elevate your game, but most importantly, your life. So, let's start.
Excited for this build series. If you have not listened or joined with us before, welcome. We're glad to have you here. So, thanks for joining us. But these series we're going to do these next couple weeks are going to build on each other. And there's a reason we put them in this order, because if you don't have them in the right order, they're really hard to have better basketball IQ. So as Shalyse said, we're going to talk about awareness today. And I want you to stop and think for a minute. When was the last time you paid attention to somebody around you? I mean, we get so caught up in our own schedules, our own life, and it's kind of me. And sometimes we forget that we live in a world with other people around us. And it's really important that we take those steps back and be aware that there are other people around us. So I love this quote. This is from Seth Curry. Many of you should know who he is. But he says, "I think basketball IQ, work ethic, and competitiveness are probably the most important things in a basketball player." Well, guess what? If you don't have good IQ off the court, really hard to have that on the court. We've focused on this a lot in the past, that you've got to be both places. It takes you becoming better off the court to become better on the court. So what exactly is awareness? And we're going to kind of delve into these pillars in a minute, but I want you to think about what awareness is. In basketball, awareness, it really refers to the ability to read the floor. Do you see everyone? Not just yourself, not just the ball, but all your teammates, all those who are playing defense against you and your team. That open space that exists, do you see, if a team is playing a 2-3 zone against you, do you see that open spot in the zone? If there's a man, do you spread out and do you see that open space? And if you don't, that's really something that needs to be worked on. It's really understanding time, space, your options, and your timing. It's all of these things. It's not just one. But awareness isn't just physical. I think a lot of times we think it's only the spacing and the timing, but a lot of it's emotional and mental too. Are you recognizing the situations? Do you pay attention to people's actions and how they're acting? And are you choosing the best response in those emotions and heated mental situations? Because there is a lot of energy and a lot of opinions and thoughts and things flying around you that aren't necessarily just visual to your eyes. And that has been proven in science and in the world around us. So really, when we say cognitive physiology, I want you to think here. Brain, mental. This shows high performance athletes don't just react. So when you have an awareness to be like an elite athlete, as we're trying to help you become, you really predict and adapt. It takes two parts. And when you develop these mental models and these abilities to have repeated exposures to pressures or mental situations, it allows you to think faster and to make better decisions under pressure. So awareness is huge with this, because if you don't have that awareness, you're really going to struggle to be a benefit to your team. You actually probably will be more of a hindrance.
Yes, and that's why sometimes maybe you're on the court and sometimes you get pulled out of the game and you're like, why did I get pulled out? And I think awareness is are you where your feet are? Are you is your brain and your feet in the same place? Because a lot of the time our feet are what we're supposed to be doing, but our brain is off in la la land. And we're just like, la da da da, ooh, ball. Or it's oh, there's my defender, or oh, I'm supposed to guard her. Or it's just little things that you can be aware of. Do you know who you're guarding? Do you know the plays you're supposed to be running? Do you know every position of that play? Because some of you are multi-dimensional players where one game you're a guard and then the next game you're a post. Do you know those areas enough to be aware of what you need to do in certain situations? And that's going to come with growth and timing. and all that stuff. But before we jump into these pillars, like, why do we care about awareness? Why does it matter? And so there's a few points that we're going to hit on, and Whit kind of hit on them a little bit. But some of the things of why awareness is so important is because it helps with decision making. So if you're able to see the right path rather than just the easy path, sometimes like you're gonna have to pivot, you're gonna have to do a rip through to get the better path. And make sure it's the right pass, a bounce pass, a chest pass, an over the head pass, a skip pass, whatever it is. We got to make the right pass. And we also got to start making passes to their chest and not to people's feet. You got to be aware of where people like to catch the ball, so that way they could catch it and score. Another pillar is communication. We have to communicate to help build self-awareness and the awareness around your other teammates. Another point is explosive conditioning. So you conserve energy by moving smarter, not harder. And I know all of you have heard that quote, smarter, not harder. And so just think of that every time you think of awareness. Smarter, not harder. The third one is defensive anticipation. I love this one. I love defense, and it's my favorite thing. And so are you reacting before your opponent makes a play? Are you anticipating that pass to that person that you're guarding? Can you read it and get a steal? Or can you bump them, like bump the cutter, instead of having them face cut you or back cut you? So a little basketball stuff, but also like life skills. So awareness carries into relationships. Are you aware of how people are feeling around you? Do you know how to read a room at school? It's kind of like your classroom too. Like, you know how like sometimes like you're joking off with your friends and the teacher's talking and she looks at you when you keep on talking, or you can like be quiet, and I was like awareness. Like, are we aware of our surroundings? And so it says like it helps with like your social cues. You can plan ahead and you can stay present. And I think like the analogy that keeps on coming to my brain is this like when you start to learn how to drive, you have to become aware of the people around you. Are there bikers? Are there people walking or jogging? Are you aware of the other cars that are around you? Are you using your mirrors? It's kind of like life, and it's like basketball as well. Like, are we aware of the persons around us doing whatever they're doing? We can't control what other people are going to do, but we have to be aware that they are in our area and they can come into our area. But as well, like, we're big into the sciencey stuff as well, because we need science that supports it. So in sports psychology suggests that athletes with greater situational awareness perform better under pressure and recover faster from errors because they understand not just what happened, but why it happened. And so if we can understand the why behind the things, then we're able to pivot and adjust and become better athletes on and off the court.
Yeah, such good advice. I'm just sitting here thinking about how this is so applicable to life. Here in Shalyse and I are teaching you how to get better on a basketball court and to improve your basketball skills, and we want that so much for each of you. But these are going to play into your profession, in your family life, in your relationships, in your own health and wellness. There's a lot of things that really can play into this. So I want you to think about, a lot of coaches like, don't just watch the ball. Don't just watch the ball. You got to see where the ball is on defensive end, but sometimes that's all we focus on. We ball watch or we human watch, the person we're defending. You've got to become aware of both. And so as we talk about these three pillars, we'll kind of give you some analogies, but visual scanning. So when I talk about visual scanning, I want you to think about an offense, okay? Maybe your team runs a motion or a flex offense or something like that. And you kind of, in your mind, you know the play a little bit. I would hope you know all the positions as Shalyse mentioned, but a lot of times if you watch a team, like if I'm watching film, I really can pick up quickly, which way does that team tend to go? I will tell you a lot of times to the right. Especially in high school, they like to go to the right because right-handed is mainly what most guards are. They feel more comfortable that way. Most girls want to dribble with their left hand. Well, the problem is most defenses can pick up on that if you see that visual scanning, but you're starting to watch. And so a lot of people will do kind of zone in on like, I'm going this way and I don't look the opposite, when really there's a benefit to visual scan both ways. And if you're a guard on your team and you always choose to go right, maybe you need to do some visual scanning and start paying attention to the bigger picture. I know we have on here this perimeter scanning. I want you to think about your peripheral vision. If you actually don't have your peripheral vision, guess what? One, you shouldn't be driving, actually, going back to our driving analogy. And two, you actually can miss a lot. This is actually a skill that is really important to be a amazing defender. If your vision's only here, you're missing all that's coming here. And as a cutter or somebody that's coming into the paint and you're playing defense down low. And so you've got to learn this skill called perimeter scanning. And I will tell you, I'm not going to give you a basketball example at the moment, but for my job, this played into my job. Right out of nursing school, I worked at the University of Utah Hospital. And one of the job roles I eventually came into was working in the trauma base. That is one of the most critical, sickest people you will ever take care of. This is a big room. There could be up to 20, 25 people in the room at once. There's a lot of chaotic things. And I will be honest, the skills I learned in basketball of my perimeter scanning actually saved me and helped me a ton in my profession because I had so many things I had to be aware of and keep track of, especially as like a trauma lead nurse. I had to be aware of everything because I had to document that and I had to be aware of that. So the same applies in basketball. If you are not aware, you're actually not helping your team on defense. You're actually hindering because you're not scanning that. Shadow defense. So on defense, you've got to be able to keep your eyes on the ball, but you also need to be able to keep an eye on the person you're guarding. A lot of teams will play a man-to-man defense, which is great. That's actually a very effective way to play defense. But the problem is, have you ever paid attention to their hips, to their shoulders? Do you understand how to read their eyes? A really good defender, you might not be the fastest player on the court, but a person with high IQ will be able to see where's that player's eyes going. Are they telegraphing their passes? Are they moving their eyes in the direction the ball's going to go? Which way is their body facing? Their hips, their shoulders? That makes you a really good player because you can anticipate before they even move the ball completely which direction they're going. So they call this shadow defense, but it's actually reading people's body language. Basically, you're shadowing or foreseeing what's going to happen next and playing to that instead of moving after everything's happened with that. The second pillar we're going to talk about is pattern recognition. So what do I mean by patterns? Make you think about that for just a minute. So great players don't just see a player, they see patterns. So they'll watch a team and they'll see, a wing kind of leaks or sneaks in on the screen. A post or a post player kind of cheats off that roll, or a defense kind of shifts early because they like to block or they jump. What patterns do you see with teams and what patterns do you not see? Because when you start to recognize the patterns, that's how you become effective, is learning how to break it or find the weakness in the pattern and attacking that. And so, we could get really in depth here, and for time's sake, I'm not going to do that. But one of the ways you can actually work on your pattern recognition is watch film. I can't tell you how many players don't watch film, and it actually is hurting them because most of you are visual learners. So when you see yourself do it or see things, you're going to learn it a lot quicker than somebody just sitting and telling you all the time. But I like this suggestion with this, but watching film backwards. Have any of you ever watched film backwards? Because what happens is you have those steps and you kind of backtrack it, especially if you're a guard or like a shooting guard. If you can start to see those patterns and where to get the ball and where you actually miss things, it helps you. It trains you to recognize the patterns quicker. Where's that open? Where can I get the ball? What can I do to have a positive pattern instead of a negative one? Defensively, where are we strong? Where are we not? And then when you pause the film, you should pause the film actually and think, what happens next? What could I do? I always tend to do this, but could I do this, or this? And when you watch it with teammates or coaches, you can ask that question of seeing, okay, what did I miss? Where am I short or falling short on this? And then the last one is when you study film and other options to watch, whether that's standing on the sideline and watching something happen or you see it on film, when you see those pattern recognitions, you develop the ability to respond quicker because your brain has seen it. It's easier to perform it. For example, if you did not know an offense and your coach threw you in on the court and you're like, Coach, I don't know what I'm doing. It's harder to go run something you don't know. But when you've seen it, then you do it, it becomes more natural. And that's what we want to do with patterns, is to help you make good, positive patterns and then see patterns that are good and bad in other teams or players that you play.
Absolutely. So lots of good information, but a lot of stuff like we have to work on. It's not going to come overnight. It's going to take time and it's going to take practice. And so, what are some things that you can do week by week or practice by practice to help you build your situational awareness? A few things that you can do is practice your peripheral vision drill. So like when you're on defense, like make sure you're in the right position so that way you can see ball and man, or like use your guns. I say you use your guns, bang bang, and if you can't see one person, then you got to turn your hips or take a step back. That's one thing you can do. Another thing that you can do is you can track multiple objects and people. So a good thing that you can do is go somewhere that has a lot of people and pick like the mall or the school lunchroom, wherever you're at. Just pick people, random people, and just kind of see if you can follow 3 people at a time. This person went to this lunch line, this one's talking to the football team, this one's talking to this table, this one went up. Like just see how many people you can track and see like if you're aware of what they're doing or if they even moved, because sometimes we're just so tunnel vision where sometimes we may not even see like the roll being passed over our head or whatever it is. And then for like basketball, like what said, like study film. It is so important to study film. Like growing up, I wish we had Huddle.
Yeah.
It would have been a game changer, but like we didn't have that. We didn't have access to film unless it was mom and dad with a video camcorder, and half the time it's like, oh, switch, and it's like whiplash or they forget and they're like jumping up and down like excited, so it's like motion sickness. But but use film. And then as well, like at practice, like make sure you're paying attention. Like, do you have the fast break? Are we getting that pass up? Are we cutting when we're supposed to be cutting? Are we communicating with our teammates to react and tell them where to go? Sometimes people have to be guided to go to where they need to go, and that can be your awareness of like, you need to move, and you can say, yo, move, like get out of the way. Like don't take it as an offense. They're trying to help you, and you're helping your team become more aware that we need to spread out and not hold hands. But it does take practice. But as you practice it, you will become more aware. And I think the best thing, at least for me, like thinking about all of this, I think the best place to start is film. So if you don't know how to get access to your game film, contact your coach, because I'm pretty sure your coach has access to the film, and I can guarantee you they'd be more than happy to give you access, so that way you're more aware and you can be a better teammate on and off the court.
Yeah, it's amazing. Awareness gets you, it actually makes you happier, I'll be honest, because when you're so focused inward or on you and what you're going to do, whether that's on a court, in the sport, or performing arts that you do, you really get self-absorbed and it becomes lonely. You become disconnected. It becomes harder. But when you're aware, not only on the court and off the court, it's more enjoyable, because basketball is a team sport. Even if you golf, there's still a team aspect. So there's a lot of things to focus on with that. So when you pay attention to awareness off the court, I want you to think about our society. When's the last time you walked into a room or a classroom or your house and nobody was on some sort of technology? I'm pretty sure I haven't, if I'm being completely honest, in a really long time. We're not aware of what's going on around us. We're so focused on these things and what's going on there that we actually have become so phone or electronic aware. We're not aware here. And that unfortunately has become a detriment to our society and to sports. I'll be honest, I know there's a lot of athletes that their parents limit their time, and that is actually amazing, because then their kid has to learn that skill. And that's a skill, like I said, that will bless you not only now in your athletic performance, but down the road in your relationships in your family. But are you self-aware? Are you aware how much time you spend on your electronic devices? Go look at your screen time. If it's more than 2 hours a day, you're on it way too much. I know you have homework and other stuff, but your phone isn't homework. Usually it's socializing or scrolling. So being self-aware, what triggers you? Where are your weaknesses? Do you even know what your weaknesses are? I helped a player last week, and one of their weaknesses was they're actually very critical. And when they talk to their teammates, the tone of their voice is really mean. and they had no idea that they were doing this. And so being aware of it wasn't to criticize them, it was to help them realize why their teammates are turned off by them. It's because of their tone of voice to their teammates. Are you socially aware? Is your teammate struggling? Is it that time of month that she's in a terrible mood? Is your coach going through something hard? I mean, your coaches are human, even though that they put on that front that they probably have it figured out. They have struggles. Are you aware of the environment you're in? Like the arena, your school, your peers. And then are you goal aware of this? I think this goes back to some podcasts we've done previously, but have you been tracking? And if you're not tracking goals or you're not setting goals, you're not really aware of where you are and what you want to be and where you want to become. And if you don't know how to answer that in a efficient or quickly time, it's probably best you start to do that some self-awareness and some awareness of your goals, because this will help you then become more aware on the court to see that and where you're weak.
Absolutely. I love that. And a few other things that you can do, like on and off the court, that can definitely help you with everything we've talked about is like before practice, we had a whole podcast on visualization. So before practice, like 2 minutes before, like you can visualize different scenarios. A lot of us at practice, we run a lot of the same drills and go through a lot of the same things. And so you may know what's coming and maybe you struggle with that drill. So maybe you can visualize that drill and seeing you doing it right. Being aware of when the ball is going to be passed to you and you're going to catch it with 2 hands and not dribble it and just go up for a layup or whatever it is. But it's just like being aware of like, okay, I normally take a dribble. My coach always tells me don't dribble. And so maybe you're aware that you're going to get probably, I wouldn't say yelled at, I'd say called out by your coach if you take a dribble. So maybe it's like, okay, you're aware and now you're going to change it. Another thing that you can do is ask questions. A lot of us are too scared or too embarrassed to ask questions. And so if your team does film study, ask the questions of like, why do you want me to back cut here when I could do a front cut? Or why do you want me to go set the screen and I'm still wide open on the 3? Or whatever it is, questions you may have. And it may not even be questions about basketball, but it could also be like questions about like family life where you're like aware of a family member that's going through a struggle. You're like, I feel like this person is struggling. Like, are you aware of that? Are you even paying attention? Or are you just too busy scrolling on your phone and eating your food? Or are you aware of like how your mom and dad are feeling or how your siblings are doing, or whatever that is? Like sometimes like you got to get up, put your phone down and go have a face-to-face conversation with the people that are most important in your life. Another thing that you can do is journal. Write your wins for the day. Write down a situation where you could have done better or where you did really good, of where you were aware. Like maybe are you aware of like how your body's feeling after you eat certain amounts of food or types of food. And that goes back to tracking. And also like certain workouts may hurt our body more. Certain weights we're lifting. If we're lifting too heavy before a game day, like is that really a smart thing to do to be lifting that much weight on game day? Or whatever it is, like, are we aware of that? And one of the last things that you can do is like, sometimes we just need to sit down, turn off everything and breathe. Take a breath. Because sometimes, I should say, a lot of the time we're always so worked up and we always have something to say where we say something and then we regret it. Where if we were just to like take a breath and just pause for like 5 seconds, count to 5, and then go out and do it, it would probably help us become more aware of like, is that a me problem or is that a you problem? And I feel like a lot of the time we put it as into a you problem and we're not going to take accountability for it. And we're not aware of the situation because we'd rather just yap instead of take a breath. And so that can be a challenge on top of the challenge of maybe just take a breath, pause, evaluate the situation, become aware of the situation, and then respond. But sometimes you don't even have to respond. You can just stay quiet and keep on breathing.
Absolutely. So I know we kind of have thrown a lot at you today, but this awareness is huge. We're going to build on these the next couple weeks, and take some time to, if you don't know what awareness really means, go back and listen to what we said, or go look it up on Google. You've got so many great resources at your fingertips, but it's awareness. And when you gain awareness, it will help you in your athletic career and in your social and mental and emotional relationships as well. So our invitation or challenge this week is going to be simple, but also very important to do. So for every practice, for every game, every film watching, whatever you're doing this week, And this applies to any sport or any performance. And if you don't have film or things to watch you, have somebody film you. Be able to watch yourself, because it's not fun to watch yourself. I don't think any of us get super thrilled to go, oh, geez, I don't want to watch myself. I look too skinny, too fat. I don't look at my hair. We all make those comments, right? That's not what I'm saying, and that's not what we're trying to focus on. We want you to pay attention to what your habits are doing, how you're playing, how you're performing, because those things actually do impact how you feel about yourself. And so where your teammates are, so these are some things we want to encourage you to look at. Where your teammates are before you even make the pass. Was that even a good pass? Maybe your turnover stat is not one you're really proud of right now, and maybe you just need to be aware of it. What's happening? Am I making a bad pass at their feet? Am I throwing it too high over their head and they can't catch it? Or am I a second too late, like they're not open anymore? There's a lot of different ways you can look at it. Where's the defender positioned? Maybe if I'm a guard trying to get the ball into a post, I keep throwing it towards the baseline and they're open middle. Or I keep throwing it middle and they're actually open baseline. You have to kind of see where things work. And where is that open space that exists? I will tell you one thing that I did not like watching is I would sometimes, when I was tired, especially after a full week of games and practices, there were a few games that I would be caught standing in the corner, waiting to just shoot the ball and yeet it up there. But the problem was I was standing, I wasn't moving, and there were spots wide open I could have cut and moved. And when I realized that, and then I started doing that, I was actually in a better position to get offensive rebounds. I was in a better position to help my team and to set them up. And I realized it was my fault. I had to be accountable for that. Was I perfect at it? No. You're in high school and you're still figuring it out. I'm still figuring it out at this age. But we want you to take that time to look, pay attention. And if it's not film, when you're in practice, take a few minutes to breathe. And after you have practice or a game, go take a couple minutes to just be still and write it. Where did you mess up? Why were you struggling? Was it your mental state? You're more worried about what's going on after the game or at home than you were focusing here, so you couldn't be mentally fully there. A lot of times that will happen, but this will help you improve. So we really want you to spend that 5 minutes every day. So if you're practicing or having games 6 days a week, 6 days this next week. And I promise as you do this, your IQ will start being better. You'll start to see things before they happen. You'll react better. Your stats will improve. You'll feel better, and you will be happier no matter the outcome of your game.
Absolutely. And we're excited to see your IQ increase and as you progress, because we're all going for progress, not perfection. And it takes work. It takes practice. But we are excited to see how you become more aware in your life, because we know that as you become more aware, opportunities will arise. You'll be able to see things and situations a little bit better, maybe be a little bit more patient with people and all the things. But remember that we're here for you. And if you need anything, please feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to help you out. Remember to please subscribe to our Instagram, YouTube, or Spotify. And we are grateful that you're part of our SW Elite family. And until next time, we'll see you guys later.
Bye, guys.